And we are live. Peace and black power, fighting. Welcome to another episode through Knowledge Radio. Place where knowledge is born. This is your host, Knowledge Born Allah. And this is through Knowledge Radio according to the shirt and according to the background. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So you know you're in the right place. So we have a unique opportunity today to speak with a everything woman. She is phenomenal. She is talented. She is creative. She is bold. And she is a woman of service that is dedicated to helping us become our best self. She's an entrepreneur. She's a mama. And she's an everything woman, okay? The definition. We're going to get into what that means in a second. But I just want to let y'all know, y'all about to glean some exponential wisdom from an everything woman, okay? So it becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some, present to others, the everything woman. But y'all can just call her Mrs. Catt Miles. Welcome to the show, sister. How you
Thank
feeling?
you.
How you feeling?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for having me today.
Okay. Good. That's good. That's good. So let's start off with a little intro. Introduce yourself to the family, and then we can just go from there.
Okay, so I am Catt Miles. I am based in Indianapolis, Indiana, although my services are provided globally. So wherever you are, you can get in touch with me. Um, I am many things that was previously said. I am a mother. I am a career woman. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a nonprofit. But in all the things that I do, my main focus is to better people, men and women, but mostly women, to be better members of the society, to make sure that we better our communities and that we get a grasp on things that's going on and live the life that we were meant to live.
All right. So how did you get started on this path? What day did you wake up and say, I want to save the world? One interaction at the time.
Um, I believe I was probably about 15 years old,
Mm.
and somebody came to my high school. If I saw him today, I would remember him, but I don't remember his name. But he came to my high school. He was a speaker. He dropped so many nuggets of wisdom on that day, and I'm like, you know what? This is awesome. Like, I want to do this. I think I have a story. I think it can help people. And this is where I need to be. And I've always just had a heart to serve. I'm a servant by nature. So it was just the right fit.
So what's your speaking story?
Oh, I'm not going to get into all of that. Let's just say that I am you, meaning I am everybody who is probably any woman I encounter, and men from a different perspective of life. But I can relate, as many people can. They just don't realize it. We are truly only 6 degrees of separation from the next person or people that we encounter. So whatever a person's story is, I'm sure there's two or three things that my story can match. I'll just give you a snippet. I was a teen parent. I did not go to traditional college right after high school, because I was a teen parent. However, later on in life, I did get my feet planted firmly on the ground. I went to college. I got a degree. I have three, actually. And I've been in some domestic situations, um, and just some other things, life courses that we don't expect to do and we don't expect to have. Um, I have family drama just like everybody else. I have almost anything somebody can think of. I can probably either relate to it personally, somebody in my family has been through it, or some close friends. So
So how do you use your gifts and your talents and your stories to help other people?
mainly just to let other people know that they are not alone, they're not by themselves. A lot of times when we go through things, we often think, we're alone, we isolate ourselves, and we think this is only happening to me. It doesn't happen to anybody else. Not realizing that there is somebody else that has been through whatever you're going through. So just to kind of say you're not alone, you're not by yourself. It's okay. Um, Once people understand that and they understand that somebody is truly in their corner and can relate to what they're going through, it helps. As opposed to, there's a saying that a psychiatrist, and I use this one a lot because it's kind of really popular. A child psychologist can tell you all day long how to raise kids, never had children. It's textbook. Well, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm not going to listen to somebody tell me how to raise my kids who don't have kids, because there's no way you can really experience what a parent goes through if you don't have children. I mean, I can read a textbook just like they can read a textbook. So what you're telling me, I can go read and get that, but I need somebody who has firsthand experience. And when we meet people with firsthand experience, we tend to listen a little bit more. We tend to be a little bit more open to suggestions, and then to see somebody come out on the other side is motivation for them to then work to come out on the other side.
Okay. So your particular journey, what are some of the biggest lessons or takeaways from your experience thus far, personally? And then we could talk about professionally along your speaking path, career woman.
I think my biggest takeaway or life lesson is to know that regardless of time, regardless of how much time has passed in any situation, whatever you want to do, you can still do it. Um, and nobody can stop you. I think that's the biggest life lesson that I've taken away personally.
So now, as a speaker, as a career woman, how do you navigate these tumultuous waters? What kind of advice would you give to someone who has aspirations?
Um, Never give up. Always put your mind to it. Have somebody in your corner that's going to help push you and going to celebrate you and hold you accountable. You have to be accountable and to work hard.
Okay, before we get to BSN, uh, you work with women primarily. What are some of the things that men need to know about women and how to better relate to, our sisters out here? You understand what I'm saying? So this is your time to take the belt off and spank us. You understand what I'm saying? And let
I
us know
think
what we need to do in order
when
to
it
fix
comes
a
to
lot of these relationships that go on.
when it comes to men and women, I think for men to understand women more, they just need to listen a little bit more. I think we say so much, but you have to peel that stuff back, because sometimes we say one thing verbally, but we really mean something else. So if you really listen, you can understand what's being said. Um, I think that communication and honesty are key. Um, Even if the honesty is going to hurt, it needs to be said as opposed to lying. It's just going to cause bigger problems. So, honesty, communication, and listen. Listen. Y'all need to listen. Knowledge,
Okay.
listen.
Yeah. I'm listening. I don't want no trouble. I don't want no smoke. Okay. So where do you think the divide comes in, or the break in the communication in regards to interpersonal communication skills with one another?
I think that people,
How do
um,
we kind of help that?
I think that people just don't trust the process. I believe that a lot of times people lie with the intention of they don't want to hurt the other person that they're speaking to.
Mm,
Now, I think probably 95% of the people do that. Now, the other 5%, they just lie because they just liars and it doesn't matter what's going on. But I do think the majority of people consciously lie because they really believe that they are saving the other person from being hurt, but not realizing you're hurting them more by lying. So I think once people understand that, yeah, the truth may hurt, but the truth is needed, because if you tell the truth, you're giving the other person the opportunity to make a choice with all the information. Whereas when you're lying, you're taking their choice away because they don't have all the information to make a valid decision that's going to be more beneficial to their life.
Okay. Do you think we kind of foster lying as an acceptable practice amongst us?
I do think it's accepted, because I think so. I just think that most women accept the lies. Like, you know, when a lie is a lie, but you accept it. Therefore, you give the other person permission to continue to lie. And when you do that, you're saying it's okay, and which again gives them permission to continue to do it, not only with the immediate person that they're talking to, but with everybody else that's involved in whatever particular situation that is.
If we think about our children, and our children, they come to us and they say exactly what is on their mind. No cut, no filter, nothing. Oh, that guy looks funny. Oh,
Yeah,
that lady stinks. You understand what I'm saying? And then we be like, well, you can't. I think once we introduce that there, a couple of things happen developmentally in the psyche of a child. They're like, oh, I don't trust daddy or I don't trust mommy.
yeah,
I can't tell them the truth.
yeah,
They want me to lie. That's wrong. You see what
yeah,
I'm saying? So it's like, okay, now I'll tailor my approach to speak this way to mommy or this way to daddy or blah blah blah. And they go through their developmental years learning how to socialize in that manner instead of speaking the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
I don't think we created a good enough environment where truth is accepted and loved for what it is. You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, so I go ahead.
It definitely started with our children. And that it was a great example, because that's exactly what happens. And it's so funny that you brought that up and mentioned that, because so I have a little 3-year-old, and I joke all the time that he's constantly telling everything that I do.
Right.
And I remember being a kid, if you told your parents' business or where you went, you would get in trouble. Keep that to yourself. You don't tell nobody where we've been. That's our business. And you would get
Right.
in trouble for speaking up. And when he does it, I just laugh, because we'll go to the store, we'll go to Walmart, he'll go to his TT house, wherever we go. And as soon as we come home, the first thing he wants to do is tell my husband everything we did, everywhere we went, everybody we talked to. And I just kind of laugh, because I think back to when I was a kid, like, yeah, you couldn't come in the house and tell
Right.
all mama's business, whether they was doing right or wrong. You
Right.
kids just couldn't do that. So he doesn't get in trouble. I kind of laugh at it. I think it's funny. Um, and he's 3. So now I probably he'll never get in trouble for telling. And I made a conscious effort not to get on him about telling daddy everything that we did, because for the very reason that you just said, I don't want him to think that when we go somewhere, he has to come home and either lie about it, or like, you can't tell the truth about this because of whatever reason. I'm not out doing nothing I'm not supposed to do. But I think that's a lot of times when parents get on the kids. It's like, oh, well, I went over here, but mama wasn't supposed to know, daddy wasn't supposed to know. So when you get in the car on your way back home, it's like, now don't tell your mama we went to Miss Jones' house. Don't tell your daddy we stopped over here at Uncle So and So house. And that's how it starts.
Right. And he's at an age of 3. That's the age of understanding. No, so he's seeking to understand the experiences, and he's
Mm-hmm.
drawing from what he already learned, and he's willing to share. Like, that's a miracle. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we really close those doors on those young black minds. Like, they want to speak, they want to be heard. You see what I'm saying? They want to have a conversation, they want to share what's going on in their life, and with this, shelter in place type of situation, I believe it was a miracle because this is the first time many of us are speaking with our children, other than carting
Yeah.
them off somewhere, dropping them off, and beelining to wherever we got to go because for some reason or another we're always in a rush, we're always late or just barely making it to wherever we're going. You see what I'm saying? Instead of
Yeah.
leaving early, so you can have time, so your mind is not in a crazed state. You see what I'm saying? So it may
Mm-hmm.
be craziness going on around you, but if you're not in tune with it, it doesn't affect you. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
so instead of this, you got time. You can share, experiences, all kinds of stuff that had happened during this time, like this blessing that is taking place. More opportunities for reflection, more opportunities to strategize, more opportunities to grow in communication. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like it's been so much. So he's proud to be able to have something to add in the conversation. Oh yeah, we went and did and this and this and this. So he's there in his
Yeah.
height, and he's excited to share it. You see what I'm saying? For him to be expressive, like that's a miracle for a young black man. You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
to be able
Absolutely.
to express himself and to be open. Society shuns that. And it starts in a familial kind of way with us being, authoritative. You see what I'm saying? So we're thinking,
Mm-hmm.
we're repeating how we were raised, and we don't know if that was right or wrong. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? But it's a socialization process. You see what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
I had to revamp my parenting style like 3,000 times, during this process. You see what I'm saying? So growing up children and having grown children and stuff like that, like that's a different kind of religion than when they were young. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, and then you see the generations in between, and they all come together, and it's like, Daddy didn't what he did. I got hit for
Yeah.
that. You
It's
understand what
it's
I'm saying? Like,
definitely different, and parenting is just one of those things. It changes. It changes every day.
right.
My 21-year-old tells me all the time, if when I was 3, you wouldn't let me get away with that stuff. When I was his age, I couldn't do that, and we had to do this, and we had to do that, and I'm like, okay, like, I mean, you 21 now, like, you're in the 20s, can't do nothing about that. That's what I knew was right when you was 3, but now he's 3. We gonna do things a little bit different. So
You can't repair that. Like I talked to my children and I apologized. I said, I raised you how I was raised.
yeah.
You know, uh, punishments were they were brutal. You understand what I'm saying? Like that, they were very brutal, and I wasn't as brutal. Even though I did have moments where I think I might have did too much, but it was a process. I went to my children's class to speak about Black History Month. I used to do it like every year, in
Mm-hmm.
February, and go in the classroom and I explained the psychology to the children and they understood it. The teachers were in the back like writing and taking notes, like, whoa, this is captivating. I said, who's the oldest in here? We're the oldest in the family. They raised their hand. I said, I apologize to you in advance. And they start laughing. These are young children. They grasp these concepts. I said,
Yeah.
your parents had no clue what to do with you other than feed you and make sure, you had, food, clothing, and shelter. They had no clue. There's no instruction manual at all. They were clueless. Okay. So you were the experiment. Okay. You were the experiment. So they're like, oh man, they're really receptive to it. I said, so where are the middle children at? They like, putting their hands up. I said, yeah, I apologize to you as well. I'm a middle child. Any attention is good attention for a middle child. So
Mm-hmm.
that's not a very good place for you to be if you're not secure in yourself. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like,
Yeah.
understand that you're not ignored.
Exactly.
The attention that you want to come your way depends upon who you are and how you respond to certain things. I said, but you have a job in the family to keep the family together. That's your role as a middle child. So that's why you're strategically in the middle. Everybody before you, everybody after you. You bring the family together. They're like, oh yeah, I do it. And I said, where the babies at? Who's the youngest in the family? And they raised their hand. And he's like, we was like, ugh. They had a moment where they was like, the baby child, right? So I said, you get to glean from the greatest experience in the world. Your parents have figured it out. They got it down to a science. They got the experiments before them. So now they can focus on you in the way and figure out how best to reach you. I said, you have a job also. And they're like, what's that? I said, aside from being annoying, okay, because, you keep the family history.
Yeah.
You keep the archives. You remember everything. Like my youngest sister, I don't even know when she was present at everything, but she remembers everything. She had the archival record of the family. So she's seen
Mm-hmm.
everybody. You see what I'm saying? So it's like that kind of communication you give in
Yeah.
regards to giving people, a purpose. You see what I'm saying? And having them understand like you have a role and responsibility in the family, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
So that socialization process is different than, you know, children are to be seen and not heard kind of vibe that we grew up on. You see what I'm saying? Only
Yeah,
speak when
and the
spoken to,
crazy
and
part is, I actually never, I ain't gonna say I never really experienced that. I remember like when my parents would have people over at parties or something, I wasn't allowed to be around the grown people. I had to go in my room. But my father, on the other hand, was very strategic with me. I've never had a whooping in my life. I've never been
mm,
spanked. Um, Anything that I did, we had conversations about it.
mm,
He would sit me down and we talk about it. We had a conversation about my behavior, whatever it was. Although I really wasn't a bad kid, I probably only had maybe two serious talks. I remember one because it was about a bike, leaving it outside the gate, not putting it in the gate. And he actually took it and made me think somebody stole it. But that was a conversation. I didn't get in trouble, even though he had told me many times. We sat on the bed and we had a conversation about what I did wrong, why it was wrong, why he told me what he told me, the consequences of it, which was him taking the bike or me believing the bike was stolen. And, that was the consequence of not listening and how we were going to move forward. I got disciplined that way. Um,
mm.
so I don't really believe in spanking kids. And it's really kind of hard now because, as I mentioned, I do have a 3-year-old, and my other kids are in their 20s and almost 30. And so with my 3-year-old and my husband, it's like, no, he need a spanking. And I'm kind of like, okay. Like, I mean, maybe. Um, and I've been in social service for so many years, for about 18, maybe 20 years. And during that time, I worked for the Department of Child Services. And so I do believe that sometimes physical discipline is necessary. However, I don't think physical discipline should be done when the parent is still in the moment of whatever the situation is, because emotions take over.
Right.
Um, and then it could turn into something else. So I'm not opposed to physical discipline. I just think it should be done in a certain way so it doesn't get out of control. But it's definitely parenting 20 years ago and parenting today is definitely different. I appreciate being a parent more. As I mentioned, I was a teen parent. So I enjoyed my kids. I did a lot of stuff with my kids. I took them on vacation. We did a lot of family things together. But I think I appreciate being a parent more now that I'm in my 40s and I have a job, I have a career, I can work, and I actually appreciate the little things that the 3-year-old does. I appreciate all my other kids, but I just looked at it as like, okay, they're kids. They did this. Now it's like, wow, this is what kids really do. Like, did my other kids do this? And it's kind of shocking
It
to
sure did.
have two different sets of kids. And now it's like, wait, I don't know. So it is different. Parenting definitely changes every day. It's never going to be the same. And like you said, there's no instruction manual. There's not a blueprint. We just got to do the best we can with what we got. And a lot of that comes from our previous experiences and our environment in which we were raised. It all goes back to our core beliefs and behaviors.
Yeah, culture dictates that, and when you're in a space where you have an amalgamated culture or you're devoid of culture, they answer these things answer all of your questions. So if you're not in a position where you in a faith based society or something like that, or
Mm-hmm.
something that where culture is driven, culture is taught, culture is observed, culture is lived out. Um,
Yeah.
you find yourself in the twilight zone because you're trying to figure it out and fumble your way through, and the bumps and the bruises and the scars along the way, like really self-inflicted. You could get down on yourself in that kind of situation. So many of these things that we see and we attribute as a culture of us is not a culture of us. It's something that was enforced upon us. So discipline becomes a very, very, very difficult type of situation
Mm-hmm.
if you're not firmly rooted in a particular kind of way. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like push-ups and jumping jacks and burpees and all kind of stuff. Huh? Like your hand ain't got nothing on someone a youngster trying to support their body weight, or they on the wall and they
Yeah.
got the knees bent. Like you can't do. You have nothing. It's you. It's you against yourself right there. Like
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, okay, like, why are you here? What's going on? Why are you here? Do you know why you're here? Yeah. Oh, okay. So, the conversation thing was something that I had to introduce. Like, okay, it, so we're here now. What's going on? You see what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
like, all of
Absolutely.
the things, like lessons, learn. And if you look to, our culture, we have a culture like that. You see what I'm saying? Like the Bible says, "Spare the rod, spoil the child." You see what I'm saying? So you're not without a reward and punishment system. You're there. So culturally, you have to move in a certain kind of way to where you get a chance to see both. Like, hey, when you did something good, you got a reward, right? So let's
Yes.
take both. Let's understand what this dynamic is, because so as to life, you might not get a lot of rewards, but if you do something wrong, there's a lot of punishment that goes along with it. So if you're not prepared for that, if you're not guided right in the household, this is a subset of a society. A household is a society within itself. So that is what you bring on to the larger society around you.
Yeah.
It starts within your home. You're in a home. You're in a governmental structure. You're in an economic situation. All of these things that you see in a larger society, they begin foundationally within the home. So I know I went on a little tangent right there.
That's okay.
And
It be like that sometime.
so let's talk BSN, because we in the BSN Ambassador Spotlight series. So what was it that was a motivation for you to come into BSN? How long you've been in, and what do you think about your experiences thus far?
So I have been a member of BSN for maybe 2 years. I became a member and then I kind of fell off a little bit, and then I was gone for maybe about 4 or 5 months, and then I came back. Um, but my experience with BSN, I don't even remember how I found it. Um, I'm sure it was I'm sure it was social media. I'm positive it was social media. But when I found it, I was very pleased to see that there was a group, an actual group of professional Black people that held each other accountable, that supported each other in speaking, that they had the desire to help everybody else come up. It wasn't like, oh, I'm a speaker and I'm above everything and everybody and I can't talk and I can't continue to teach and just give some nuggets of wisdom. And so when I happened upon it, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I joined. I have facilitated for them a couple of times for BSN on a couple of different um, topics and teachings that was going on, and it was amazing. I've never received nothing but support and positive energy from BSN. So anybody who is a Black speaker, I believe that is definitely a community to be in, because it will help. And not only help, there's so many resources that we can get through BSN that you may not get anywhere else, or you may not know about. And I'm not just talking about the speaking engagements that we are privy to, but some of the resources are, if you need new media kits or speaker one sheets, or if you need to know how to better leverage, all of those things and tools are available. And is great. It can't do anything but help you. And the great thing is you have to be present, but you don't have to be like, oh, we got to meet, or we got to get on a call, or we got to Zoom every 3 days at 1 o'clock. Everything is really at your own time and space and leisure. You can go in, check things out. If you miss an event that you wanted to attend, you always have the option to go back and look at it when you want to. The resources are always available. It's just a really great platform to be on, and I am so happy and blessed to be a part of a platform that supports and promotes Black speakers.
I definitely agree. As to why we are here, today in the spotlight. So you came along and you were selected out of so many different people to be an ambassador. What was that feeling like for you?
Um, Great, actually, because like you said, and I didn't know, kind of behind the scenes what that process looked like until we had that first call, and it's like, okay, well, it was over 40 plus applications received that were thoroughly vetted and looked at, and only so many people, maybe half, a little less than half people, were selected to be BSN ambassadors. So that says a lot if you have that many people in an applicant pool and you're chosen to be one of the ambassadors. And I don't remember, and I don't know if you remember how many questions it was on the application slash questionnaire, whatever that process looked like. I do remember several, and I do remember though there being like short answers. So it wasn't a bunch of just yes and no. It was actually short answers where we actually had to write out our thoughts. And so to have somebody read those and it aligned with the same mission and vision of BSN to be chosen as an ambassador it's amazing. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, references and all kind of stuff. I'm going through my phone. I'm like references. Okay. Because I've done a lot of events and things like that, and uh, in a fraternal setting, in a public setting, and all kinds of things. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
You put on them events. You gotta. I know the woes that come along with it, the stuff that never gets told. You know what I'm saying? Like the background stuff that goes on, and preparing for all kind of eventualities. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So yeah, when it's over, I swear I say I ain't never doing it again, and then I'll be right back at it.
Exactly. It's always like
I,
that.
yeah. I coach youth sports for about 18 years or so, and after every season, I say I ain't coaching no more, and then they call me
And then
back
you
and
right
hey,
back.
coach, right back like I never left.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to what it is than what it appears to be. You have tangibles, you have intangibles, and you have like blessings and breakthroughs and all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of things. So, you come along in a situation you never have a issue with communicating with young people, because young people will tell you who you are. You can tell anybody in the world that you're such and such. Young person will tell you.
Absolutely.
Young people and old people will tell you who you are, because they don't care anything about your life. All right, you see what I'm saying? So they're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah. So if you want to know if somebody is good people, take them around some old folk or your children. Your children, if they do that, you
Yeah.
better. Better take heed
and
to that right
they know when they are around negative energy, and
there. Right.
something's not, if they know when a person is just saying right, and I feel like we all have had that ability as kids. Some of us it stick with us as adults, some of us it goes away, and that's kind of odd. And I don't know if the kids, like you had kind of mentioned earlier, sometimes the kids voices are silenced when they begin, if they walk up to somebody and be like, no mom, they're creepy, or no dad, they're weird, and we're like, no, no, don't say that. And it kind of shuts that part of their brain down. But yeah, kids are always honest, and they will tell you if somebody is not right. Even babies, some
Oh
babies,
yeah.
they go to one person, they be like, oh yes, smiling. The next person, they're screaming at the top of their lungs because they got that feeling, like they know something's not right. And you're right, older people do too. You take somebody to your grandma's house or your great grandma's house, they be like, nah, baby, take them back to where you got them from. It's
They got
something about it.
a
They just
real
listen.
religion for it. I tell you, an old man told me something one time. I was a young punk out here running around, and we was messing around in one of the neighborhoods or whatever. One day, come from school, and this old man told me something that I never forgot. He said, "Y'all need to stop playing around these places." He said two things. He said, "I ain't get old by being no fool." He said, "And I can shoot you and act like I forgot and go eat a sandwich. The police come to get me. I tell them I don't remember." You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the place where he was at in his life for him to share that. You see what I'm saying? He said, "I ain't get old by being no fool,"
Mm-hmm.
and basically saying like, I can get you and get away with it. You see what I'm saying? Like, so I'm like, that's a different religion. Old folks, they don't got that same kind of try to fake it to make it, and
Yeah.
making sure everything's okay, cushion the blow. Like, nah, they don't have it. You know what I'm saying? So he gave me some wisdom that day. You see what I'm saying? They like, oh, this old man. He said, "I ain't get old by being no fool."
Yeah,
You
that's
know.
good.
Uh, so yeah, I just kind of carry that with me along the way, and I was always around older men, and I was thankful for that experience because
Mm-hmm.
you know if older men take a liking to you, they share wisdom with you that they don't impart to everybody, and everybody
This is true.
was they didn't belong. You see what I'm saying? So now I couldn't act like even though I was a young punk, I couldn't act like a young punk not around them because you wouldn't
Right.
be invited back. You see what I'm saying? So that was a very good experience, and I think that young men, especially young black men, need to be around older black men.
Yeah.
Socialize what, regardless to what the setting is or the relationship. You know, uh, so because they need to know how to conduct themselves. And they need more than one example. To be like, well, their father's in their life, or that's not enough. We had uncles, we had cousins, all of that. So every kind of experience you could look at to see, so you can see from one person to the next one. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
your peer group, so you can take all of that information in and decide who you're going to be. Because you get your best genetics from your mother, your best genetics from your father, and you have your own. So and if they're here living, they have a mission and a purpose. So our mission and purpose is to guide them to complete their mission. For as long as they're in our protective care. You see what I'm saying? So those experiences, and that was another reason why I continue to go back to coach, because you know seeing a black man, like, that might be the only time they see a black man in their life. You understand what I'm saying? Like, uh,
Yeah.
whether it's the school system or whatever the situation is, to speak to get them to move, and their parents was like, "I can't even get him to get off the couch. Like, you have him running around." You understand what I'm saying? Like, what are
Yeah.
you doing? How do you do that? I'm like, what? You understand what I'm saying? So I'm like, yeah, like, you connect with them. You connect with them, and they want the guidance. They want the leadership. They want the example. You have to set it. You have to set those expectations. So we
We
go
do.
into a practice, and My first practice, if I can't get a team together with that first practice, I don't have a team. So the first practice look like Coach Carter or something like that. It looks like that. It feels like that. Like it's a serious situation because the team is at stake. You see what I'm saying? So the
Yeah.
parents are watching. They're like, they're doing all this running and jumping jacks and blah 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 and this and this. We have to break the individuality out and welcome in the team. You have to break that mold. So you start off like, oh, who played basketball before? What positions did you play? Blah blah blah. You get through that. Like, all right, you have to put them on one side in your mind. And then other people who've never played, got to put them, boom. So now we have to find a comfortable medium to where they can be mentors to each other. They can motivate each other. You understand what I'm saying? But you have to take the individuality out.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
tired?
definitely.
Like,
And
oh, you're
and
tired? Are you walking? Like all of that. So it's like, hey, no. And then they start to check themselves. Hey, no walking. Coach said he doesn't like no walking. Hey, put the ball down. You see what I'm saying? They'll do it. And once you see that already, you got a team.
yeah.
You know,
And kudos to you for even doing that because, like you said, it's so many of our young black men that are don't have mentors, they don't have coaches, they don't have positive black men that they can look up to or seeing good things, which is why they continue to get in all this trouble that they get in, and our young black men, boys are dying, whether they're being shot and killed by whomever, the authorities, whoever, are just getting in situations that had
right.
they had those positive black role models, they may not have been in that situation that they in. They may have made some better choices. So it's definitely a lack of positive black role models, especially in a lot of urban communities that they can look up to and take the time out to coach them or just mentor them or just go hang out. Just go sit at the park and have a conversation with them to help make them make better decisions. So it's very much needed.
Right. So can we talk about your nonprofit before we wrap up?
Sure. So
Okay.
there's
So
two. Actually, there's two. So one is again just working with women ages 18 to it used to have a cap. It was 18 to 27, but then I found that people older than 27 was asking about it, so it's just 18 and up. And the reason why I chose women 18 and up is because I felt like there was a gap, because there was a gap for me. Little kids in grade school and middle school, they have all of these mentor programs that go into the school that do these things. Once you're in high school and you go off to college, young women would join sororities or they would join some kind of groups or clubs where they had these support systems and all of these things to help guide them. Well, like me, I didn't go to a traditional college. And once I was out of high school, so between 18 and 23, I was kind of out there on my own. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, there has to be something for where's the mentors and the sisterhood and all of this stuff for the young women that's 18 to whatever that are struggling or dealing with whatever issues they're dealing with. Who's there to support them? Who's there to let them know that it's okay? So that's how that nonprofit was came about. It's actually called Girl Talk, the series international, and we meet once a month and we cover a range of different topics. Most of the time, for whatever that month is, if it's mental health awareness, if it's domestic violence awareness, we focus on those. We focus on financial literacy. We focus on just wherever you are. The goal is to meet them where they are and then get them to the next level so that they're not stuck anymore. So that's my baby. That's my baby. And then here recently, like within the last month, again, I've been in social service for so many years, most recently in the criminal justice system. One of my degrees is in criminal justice. And I feel like and see in the criminal justice system that I was just talking to my husband this morning about it. I feel like we are setting most of these people up for failure. When they get out of jail, when they get out of prison, it's like, we put rules and all these stipulations on them. We want you to do better. We want you to, be a better citizen. We want you to be a great member of the community. But then we give you all these restrictions where you can't, or, you're already behind the ball. If you go to prison and you come out and you owe so many thousands of dollars in court fees, probation fees, parole fees, all of these fees are child support. or whatever. You're already behind the 8 ball. So the next one is it's called Bars Behind Me, and what it is it's just working with individuals who are newly released from prison, jail, whatever, to basically help them get on their feet and give them the tools that we need. It's kind of like a reentry program to the 20th power. We have reentry programs, but I feel like being in the actual criminal justice system and as a case manager, trying to support these people, men and women, when we send them to some of the reentry programs, and I'm not saying all of them are bad, some of them are great, but when we send them, it's almost kind of like they go, here go a list of referrals, here go a list of stuff, here go a computer. They kind of just go do their own thing. Nobody really sits down and takes the time to actually map out where they are, what they need, and walk them through the process to get it. And so I wanted it to be more than just, well, here's a piece of paper. No, we gonna sit down, we gonna talk about this, we gonna figure out what the problem is, we gonna figure out exactly what you need, and I'm gonna walk you through that process to get exactly what you need. So those are the two nonprofits that I have. So
if I could stand up, I would give you a standing ovation. Two most critical elements in the society. You know, if you teach a woman, you teach a nation. You know, a nation can rise no higher than its woman. And then you're talking about defying Murphy's Law and setting a new normal on this other side. Mm-hmm. Because recidivism is a cash cow, you know, in this society, you know, hence it's a capitalist society. Someone has to be the capital in order for someone to make a capital gain. You see what I'm saying? So with recidivism, just like going to a car dealership, they want you at the car dealership. They want you to bring your children to the car dealership with them because they want your children to buy the cars from them. You see what I'm saying? So they want to set a generational expectation through a socialization process that they capitalize on. So if you go see your loved ones in prison, you're not going to see anything wrong with prison. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And on the top of that, you're going to create a subset culture where someone going to college versus someone going to prison or coming home from prison or getting a degree is not celebrated in an equal fashion. Like this has credence, you know? Oh yeah, you know, my brother, he just came home, man, we about to party. You understand what I'm saying? Like you're already, you know, putting them in a detriment. You don't even know it. You think you're doing something good. You understand what I'm saying? So if they're there and some of your homeboys is there with them and they felons and they're associated, they can be violated already. You see what I'm saying? If they owe any time, you know?
Yeah.
So like just even, you know, small things like that and dealing with the psychology, they just came from a traumatic experience. Like nobody has fun in prison or jail or the county or whatever. You understand? Mm-hmm. So helping them to reacclimate and come out of that trauma space that they in, that's a miracle. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? That's a miracle. Like, so working with them to help them in so many ways, you know, beyond just like you said, hey, hit them with a piece of paper. You don't even know if they can read. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you don't even know if they can read or if they filled out a job application. You know, with that series that Ava DuVernay, she did the When They See Us.
Yeah.
Like getting the dramatic effect and dealing with the psychological effects. You're seeing this. Like, okay, this is a picture being painted of this whole situation. You know, like they never went to a prom, they never went to high school, none of that. All of those years were robbed of them. You understand what I'm saying? Like they ain't never been with a woman. You see what I'm saying? Like they were children and their childhood was stolen from them, and they were put in an environment to be war driven. You see what I'm saying? So that's a traumatic experience that, you know, nobody takes the time to unpack because they're waiting for you to reoffend. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
absolutely.
probation or parole, whatever. You see what I'm saying? All of that, subsection feeds off of that. This is how they get paid. So if people aren't going back to prison or if they're not going on probation or parole, these cats don't have jobs. You see what I'm saying? So it's that whole
Yeah,
situation where their hands are kind of tied too, as well as with their power to be able to do if they
yeah.
care. You see? So yeah, you're a miracle worker out here in these streets. We got a whole miracle situation going on.
Well, hopefully so. But just seeing it up close and personal, it's like I can't keep doing this because I feel like I love my career. I love what I do. I love it, but also feel like I'm doing my clients a disservice because um, a prime example, like you said, just even with technology, this man got out of prison. He had been there for, I think he said 20 years. And for whatever he had going on, they put him on a breathalyzer. And with this breathalyzer came a cell phone because that's how you had to test and that's how we got the results. But he would always have these missed tests, like missed, and the missed tests are presumed to be positive. So I'm like, sir, come in here. Like, just come on. Why are you missing your test? And he's like, you know, Miss Miles, I don't know how to work this thing. I don't know what I'm doing. And like I had to sit down with this man for over an hour to try to get him to understand and how to use this technology that he now has to use for his livelihood. And at one point I just told the judge, he don't know how to use this stuff. I've sat down with him. I tried to walk him through it. I had him come into the office. It's not working. We got to do something different. I mean, and that was actually ended up being a good situation because the judge agreed and took him off. um, and we figured something else out. But it's so many people that had I actually followed the protocol that I was supposed to follow, he would have been violated. A violation would have been filed, and he would have been back in jail because he missed all these tests, which will be have presumed to be positive. Well, he wasn't missing them because he was drinking or trying to elude us. He didn't know how to work the daggone thing. Um, so I sometimes break the rules a little bit and do stuff that I'm not supposed to do. Because like I said, in that situation, a violation should have been filed and he should have went back to jail. But I'm like, I'm not sending this man to jail. So it's kind of like I found myself between a rock and a hard place because I know what I'm supposed to do, but is it the right thing to do? Um, how further or how far can I go without filing a violation and getting this man back in the situation as opposed to helping him to not be in the situation? And so, even though there's a little wiggle room, there's not a lot because at the end of the day, I still had to answer to somebody. I still had to, and then when I did, I had to argue and justify my reasonings for not getting this putting a warrant out for these people's arrest. So it's like it has to be something better than this. It has to be there. You know, I can't keep working for a system that I feel like was already setting most of the clients up to fail. So I'm like, how we got to get out of this some kind of way. And the best way I knew how to do that was to, like I said, create another nonprofit to have come from the criminal justice system, have a degree in criminal justice, and actually can work with the people, wanting to work with the people to get them to the other side. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not getting paid. I'm not there out of obligation. I'm there because I want to be. And I feel like just with that, I can put more into it because it's coming from a caring place as opposed to, numbers or politics. So this way, I don't have to. I mean, I still have to deal with some politics of it all from a business perspective, but as far as helping the people, I don't have to deal with it.
Amazing. So I guess we could wrap it up. I done stole enough of your time already.
You're okay.
So final remarks, acknowledgments, shout outs, social media, and also where people can find and utilize your services across the globe. Because she's global. I told y'all she was the everything woman. Okay, y'all thought I was playing. Okay?
I appreciate your time as well, and I appreciate you having me today. It's been amazing, and I know I didn't tell you my whole story, but that's okay because anybody that want to hear my whole story, there's some great stuff coming up that's coming up in December, actually, where I will put my entire story out there. I'm actually forming a new platform. It's really the same. It's still the same nonprofit. I'm changing the name, so it's going to be IMU. And that's going to be a whole movement in itself, and I will put my whole story out there. But I'm an open book. I don't know if you've been to my social media page. It's not locked. It's not private. It's open. And I can be reached on just about any platform under Catt Miles. And then people will continue to come check me out and inquire so that they can get the full story, because I know for a fact they will not be disappointed. And I'm sure, I am positive it will resonate with many.
Sound like you got a couple of books to write too.
I didn't tell you that I'm an author of 7 books already. I'm a published author, an award-winning.
I know you are author. I'm like, I asked you to introduce yourself, and you was like, oh, I'm just here.
You know what?
Praise the Lord.
And you know, absolutely, praise the Lord. I have been blessed, and I will say this. This is one of the things that I am still working on, because I am not perfect. I am human, and so many things that I do. I don't like to be boastful of them. And even my husband will go places and he'll be like, yeah, she does this and she got books and she's this, and I'm like, you ain't gotta tell them all that. Like, no, it ain't that serious.
Love on your man. Okay? Love on your man. Okay. Thank God for that man who will go out and proclaim you before the world. You understand what I'm saying? Like, hey, that's a miracle. Okay. Don't turn that. Baby, I received that. Thank you. I just love you. I love when you do something like that. You make me so proud. I'm telling you, tell everybody, okay? Tell everybody. Because everybody need them 7 books that you wrote. You see what I'm saying? So they need to know.
Yes, and my website is on my Facebook page, and on the website, it is a link to purchase the books. It's on there.
And that website is?
My website is www.cattserrano, SERRANO.com. That's part of my story too, y'all. I done transitioned and remarried, and that's a whole nother story. But like I was telling you earlier, the website is still under Catt Serrano because that was the brand. So it can still be reached that way right now.
7 books. So now we got to do a part 2 where we talking about the books and all that. You see what I'm saying? We got to get the break down.
And knowledge.
I'm going to get the story. And the podcast. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, every Tuesday at 7:45. That's on the that'll be on my Facebook or social media as well. So
where can they find that podcast? What's the name of the podcast? How long you been doing
the podcast? I've been doing the podcast. This will be the 2nd year, and the podcast can be found. It's called Relationship Rules, Our Way. Simply because no relationship is the same. Everybody's relationship is different, and we set it up how we want it to be. We can't copy nobody. Even though people tell us we'll do this like so and so. No, we have to find our own way. And it's right now I am streaming on Radio Wave for You Radio. So it can also be found under Radio Wave for You via an app, the website. So my podcast is on Radio Wave Radio.
See that? See? This is called marketing. This is called promotion, boasting. Okay.
Well, today, yes.
I mean, if you're in business, you're an entrepreneur. The people have to know all of the facets that go along with it. You see what I'm saying? You know, as an entrepreneur, facts tell, but stories sell. They want to know, just like you said. I don't want to be sitting across from some fool who ain't got no children telling me how to raise my children.
This is true.
Like, so this is why the peer-to-peer counseling is very, very successful. You see what I'm saying? Like, they have a whole model called Narcotics Anonymous and called Alcohol Anonymous.
Yes.
Because of that. You see what I'm saying? That peer-to-peer interaction. Like, hey, you're like, going through these stories and sharing these life stories and these experiences, that found motto is there. It's there. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, oh, I can actually do this. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
that's
Try to
true.
have a reward system, all of that. So, if we apply this model to peer-to-peer entrepreneur, B2B, business to business type of model, we can, have more success in that regard in regards to getting that message out. You'd be amazed on how many people I've been on 5 years. I got about 1,500 episodes or so. How many business owners that I get with, and they like, I don't really talk about my business. Brother, you are in business. Sister, you are in business. You
True.
are the business. You understand? You have to weave the business into the conversation. You see what I'm
I
saying?
know.
Because so and I'm not saying it to you directly. I'm just saying it, in general. You see
No,
what I'm saying? Like
no, no. You're
we
absolutely
gotta be.
correct, and I am going in that direction. It's just really right now. As I mentioned, the website is under one name. Of course, I've already changed my name. I'm recently married, so this is still all new. So I am. We're 6 months now. I think 6 months. So
Oh,
I'm actually going through this whole rebranding
right.
situation. So, but please believe when that is done and complete, yes, that's all I'm going to talk about. Honestly, starting here in a couple of weeks, like I said, the IMU is going. When I said it's going to be a whole movement, that's all I'm going to talk about because that's going to encompass everything. Me, the book that will be out on December is actually going to be out on my birthday, which is December 26th, the day after Christmas. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a whole program and list of things that will be under that still the Catt Miles umbrella, but it will be under that. So
We celebrating, okay? Celebrating. Yeah, yeah, that's amazing right there. That's a Capricorn energy
I
right there.
I am a Capricorn.
Praise the Lord. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I definitely thank you for your time and your energy and your jewels and your nuggets and your earth thing coming through here. You see what I'm saying? Your
Thank you. I
earth thing.
appreciate you as
Okay.
well. Thank you for
So
having me.
this is my job. I love it. This is the greatest job I ever had outside
Yeah.
of being a father. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Outside of being a father, that's number one.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? Uh, you know, I love the opportunity to sit with people and hear their stories and share in that
Mm.
experience because there's so much stuff, because we really don't talk about ourselves, not just our business. We don't talk about ourselves. We don't feel comfortable talking about ourselves. We think talking about ourselves or talking about what we do is, like you said, being boastful. Like that's another cultural thing that was adaptable behavior from a traumatic experience called America.
Yes,
You know,
that's true.
so you don't want to be too. You can't be too. You see what I'm saying? Because it came with consequences, real life and death consequences were predicated around you doing well. You see what I'm saying? So we have a
Yes.
history in this place called America of when we ascended to heights or we gained, steam and momentum. Something had to be done to knock us out of place or knock us out of balance. They had to take one of our loved ones, one of our leaders, or whomever. You see what I'm saying, to quell that
Yeah.
ascension. So yeah, we have to be a little better about it. Got to be
Yes, we do.
intentional. I got to put it on my schedule. So put it on your schedule to promote. Say, okay, from this time to this time, every day I'm going to promote my brand, my business.
I am. I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna tag you in every one of them.
Please do. Please. Please. Okay. So gotta get the word out. And I need all 7 of them books. So this book is gonna be number 8, right?
It will be number 8.
Yeah, I need all 8 of them books. Okay.
Yep.
Need it.
Give me some of those gummies.
What I'm talking about. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, I will. Pray for me, please. I'm getting ready to get on the road, so I'll be on driving for 27 hours.
Yes. Safe travels. Traveling
Thank you.
mercy to you.
Thank you.
All in the name of love. Okay. You have to remind yourself every 2 hours that you doing this out of love. Okay.
It
Okay.
is definitely out of love for my baby, for my 21-year-old. Yes.
In that movie, what was it? The Clumps. When Eddie Murphy looked at Eddie Murphy, he said, if you wasn't my grandmother, you wasn't my grandmother. And he
Right.
said, if you was my child, okay, you was not my child, I tell you.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, so be safe out there.
All right, I will. Thank you. Have a wonderful, blessed rest of the day.
You as well.
All right.
All right. So we out of here. We're gonna be on live 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Chicago Red Storm award-winning deaf poet. It's going down. So catch us in the hour. Peace.